So I'm already on the broker. Let's get down to the analysis and start trading today. I have $100 in my balance, and I will open each trade for the maximum amount of the balance. We trade on a 1 minute time frame, and we also have an expiration time of 1 minute. You can set the expiration time in this window, which is called time, and choose the most optimal time for your transaction based on your strategy. I have already conducted a market analysis over the last period of time, and all the currency pairs with the most optimal movement patterns and payout percentages are presented before your eyes. Also, based on the dynamics of the movement, I have selected the appropriate indicators that will be most optimal for today's trading. Today's set of indicators includes an alligator with default settings, a fractal with a period of 3, and the MACD oscillator with these period settings. Today, we will analyze the trend and open deals in the direction of the trend. Our main indicator is the alligator, and we will use a trading strategy based on corrections to the midline. Our middle line is marked with this orange color. This middle line is called teeth. And what is the meaning of this strategy? The essence of the strategy is in the trending market. The price often returns to the middle line, after which it continues to move upward. Accordingly, we will monitor these indicators when opening a purchase transaction. In our trend movement, there should be a correction to the middle line, and in most cases, further dynamics of movement rushes upward from the middle line. For example, how it can be seen in these traffic sections. To minimize false signals, we add a fractal to determine the structural points of the maximum and minimum, as well as the MACD oscillator. When opening a deal for a raise, let's say, or it doesn't matter at all. When opening a buy or sell transaction, we must fix the moment that the volumes should reach our ideal average value. Our average value is an area with a mark of 0, and as you can see, we have similar dynamics here. In other words, we have had a correction to the midline, volumes have reached the average, and since the trend is upward, we note that the moving line and the signal line of the oscillator are above the average. Therefore, in this key of movement, we can open a deal for an increase. We also updated the fractal structural minimum, so it was an ideal buy signal. That's the logic of today's strategy. I will explain each transaction in detail, and I hope that by the end of today's video, you will have as few questions as possible, or at best, there will be none at all. I hope it will be as interesting and informative as possible. Actually, let's start trading and select the first currency pair in order to make the most optimal deal opening. Let's get started. Let's probably open the first position here to increase the trend. This is not exactly an accurate signal, but in general, based on the dynamics, I see that we have a very confident upward trend now, and in general, these conditions are acceptable for such a market. That is the difference here, is that our pullback in dynamics has gone a little lower. It's okay in general. It's not always possible to catch the perfect entry point, so you need to add your own analysis. As we can see, we are generally satisfied with the opening conditions, and we see the appearance of upward volumes on the histogram and the intersection of the average value. Also, the moving line of the oscillator is above this average value, and therefore here, after such a dynamic rebound in the form of 2 red candles, I preferred to open a position to increase. And in general, he turned out to be absolutely right. A further position is also opened for the maximum amount of the balance. I hope I've explained everything clearly here. Let's continue and select the next entry point. This is where we will open a deal for a raise. The entry point was not long in coming, and it is here that you and I catch the touch of our alligator moving average. Earlier, the structural local minimum was updated, and after such a dynamic movement of the rolling dynamics of the movement, we open a deal to increase. Let's look at the result of our second position. Approximately 10 seconds until the transaction is completed. And our position closes in the last seconds in a plus. The candle showed a fairly confident upward trend and the deal was closed in positive territory. And a little bit, of course, I did not choose the optimal entry point, and literally just a couple more seconds and I would have closed the deal in the negative, but you need to understand how I think, right? In other words, I generally did not even assume that the dynamics of movement here should go lower since we have updated the structural minimum for the fractal. And as you can see, the way to the top turned out to be very confident. Therefore, the logic of entry here was also absolutely correct. Let's select another entry point, continue and select the next currency pair. And again, here on this currency pair, you can reopen a deal to increase the trend. We have already opened a position here. Unfortunately, I couldn't open a downgrade deal, so today is the only time we will be opening deals to buy. In general, I think you have already understood the logic of entry. These transactions, of course, touch the lower moving average. Here, as you can see, the volumes have reached an average value. They are currently at this value, and the oscillator's moving lines are pointing upwards. They are above the average value, and accordingly, the opening is trending. Our trend is upward. Let's see the result. It's just the last seconds left, and, it's a tense moment to close, but anyway, the position between you and me is closing in a plus. And as you can see, we see again a rather pleasant upward exit from this candle. In general, I think you understood the logic of opening deals, plus or minus what conditions to comply with. I think you also understood. With this result, let's probably end today's trading process. When opening downside deals, also follow the same opening logic. Only open the deal for sale respectively. Let's fix today's profit and proceed to withdrawal. Choosing a wallet, I always choose the Tether TRC20.20. The amount of today's profit is $560. We insert the wallet address and the Google Authenticator verification code. Click continue. Great. Our withdrawal operation is running successfully. I have never had any problems withdrawing funds on this broker. The money always came fast enough. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, you can find a link to my Telegram in the description below the video. Go ahead and write to me personally. Also, don't forget to join our trading community. You can also find a link to the band in the description below the video. Have a nice day, everyone, and close as many positive deals as possible.